it's actually the first time we do a summit in 20 years, so trying to bring the community together. One of the difficulties we found to organize this was that we have a very diverse community from actually all around the world, and so it felt not so easy to implement. But we thought with the 20 years it was a good time to start. We have actually visitors from 7 different countries, maybe even 8, it depends if we count Scotland and England as different countries or not. But so we have visitors even from the US. So we're very happy that so many different customers have joined. We have administrations, companies, small companies. So that is really nice and represents the diversity of our clients. So we have around 24 clients today, 30 people. And so I want to specifically thank the XWiki team to organize this summit. We know that it's always complex things to implement. So what I want to talk to start this day is tell a little bit about the company. You all know our product as you're using it, but you might not know that much about the company and what we're trying to do. So I wanted to go through a bit through that a bit. So. In the history of XWiki, we try to really think what are the goals and what defines our company. And so the first thing that defines us is really trying to work on useful quality software products. So could sound a bit basic, like everybody would want to do that. If you're doing software, you want to do good software and useful software. But I'll come back a bit about what I mean by useful software just after. We also want to be a great employer. When I decided to create XWiki, one of the reasons was that I didn't feel that well in very large companies, and it felt a bit more into, okay, how can I be an employer like I would want to have myself? And this is what drove me also in the goals of XWiki and in the way we run the company. Another aspect is to contribute to digital sovereignty, so European ones, but even individual ones, and open source is quite important for that. I'll come back to that. And obviously, we want it to be a successful business, and I mean, not in the goal of being extra rich or because we have a successful business, but mostly because you need a successful business if you want to achieve the other goals. You need capacity to actually do better software, and this is what we have tried to do all these years. So first, the products. So we have 2 products. So we'll mostly talk about XWiki. We have XWiki customers here. The summit is about the XWiki software. But we also have the CryptPad software. We'll have a 15 minutes presentation, 10 minutes presentation about the CryptPad software during the day in order to tell a little bit about that. The key point about these 2 softwares, they're quite different in a sense, even though they're both in collaboration. For XWiki, it's all about knowledge. It's all about how can we improve the sharing of knowledge inside company. And for CryptPad, it's all about how we protect people's privacy, how we secure data. We think that these are 2 large problems. So when we developed CryptPad during research projects of XWiki, we found out also that, well, actually privacy is a problem on the internet today, and that CryptPad can be a solution to that. And this is why we decided to continue to pursue it. With XWiki, we're focusing on helping people share knowledge inside companies, also outside companies, and make people more knowledgeable in general. A word about ethics and social contribution. So the first social and contribution we believe that we do at XWiki is actually the subjects we're working on. We believe that knowledge is a very important subject in the world. If we look at what stays in the world 100 years from now, or from what do we have from 500 years ago, from 1,000 years ago, it's actually knowledge. If you think, and you have buildings, of course, we're in a beautiful site here. We can see buildings that are 1,000 years old in Paris. And the other thing we see is knowledge is something that we have. And privacy is also a very important goal to protect in the digital world. Open source is a way to also increase our social contribution. I'll come back to open source in a specific slide. What is really important for us is to be a responsible employer, and this is why we also we started to implement the 4-day week at XWiki, because we believe that this is good. This is something that is both valuable for the company and valuable for the people of the company in terms of work-life balance. So we're not having a full 4-day week. We're having one every 2 weeks with flexibility which day people drop. But we're trying to really focus on the work-life balance of the team, and we believe that this is really also helping us having great fidelity of our employee team, and we have like I think more than 10 people that have 15 years of XWiki, which is actually super important for a small company in order to retain knowledge, in addition to have a great wiki for that. And we're also working on achieving ethics in the business. Open source helps us. One of the reasons XWiki went open source is also because as a user of software in the previous company I was in, I also was disappointed by the relationship proprietary software company had with their users. And open source is much more about the collaboration you have with your customers, and it keeps us honest as a software provider. When we put software inside company, we're creating a dependence of that company on our software, and we can see in the way that a lot of software companies behave that there is a need to keep them honest. And we'll also see that in the life of XWiki. I'll come back to that later. And the last thing is to try to go further and continue. So we're also thinking about our carbon footprint, whether it is the footprint of the carbon footprint of the company itself, but the carbon footprint of the software itself. Even though for the digital world it's complicated to measure, there are benefits of digital for carbon footprints, but there are also cases we can think of AI, where the energy footprint of software could become out of hands. We might not control it as well, so we're trying to think about that and be responsible in this light. So about open source, so the first thing, and one of the reasons to do open source, is that it's also a great way to build good software. The collaboration that happens with open source and the exchanges with the community are making our software better. The processes that we put in place, and a lot of the software processes today are coming from the open source world, the collaboration around the world, are helping make the software better. But it's also making our software more globally accessible. One of the complexity with software is that it's a digital product. You can take it from anywhere in the world, and it's very complicated, for example, to have differentiated pricing for different parts of the world. By making also the software accessible, our software will be accessible with countries that it might be very difficult for us to actually sell our services because they will be too expensive. So we're making also our software more accessible, and at the same time it's a benefit for the company, because this distribution as open source brings us our clients, reduces our sales costs. XWiki is a company that is highly majority engineers, highly majority focused on the production of the software, making the software better, the services to the company. The sales team is extra thin on top of that. So we're investing most of the money, the majority of the money towards the product and the services to our clients. The other aspect on open source is that we believe software is too important to be kept private. Well, we could take just what happens with the privacy problems. We don't know what are in the software that we're using. We have phones in our pockets, and we don't know the software that it's in. I'm part, and a lot of the XWiki employees believe that we need much more transparency on the software that we're all running, whether it's for individual or for companies. And so we want to be part of that and contribute to a world where software is much more transparent than it is today. And the last aspect is that it's about the digital sovereignty. We'll have Frank Kalicek. I'm very happy that he's going to do a presentation for us this afternoon about European digital sovereignty. We're not the only company that is concerned about the digital sovereignty issues in the software world, and Frank is running one of these companies. So about knowledge management. So what I want to go now is about knowledge management. XWiki is all about knowledge. So why are we actually working on that problem? And why is it an important problem for this company? So probably you're all working you're actually working in positions in your company where you actually know that it's important because you are actually in charge of wikis. So, but this could be helpful also for you, convincing more inside your company of the importance of knowledge management. So the first problem is knowledge evaporation. A lot of companies end up having digital tools that create silos. There might be very good reason to have silos for security reasons, for example, but these silos that are created by team hinder the propagation of knowledge inside the company, and this has a key impact on their productivity. Many companies also face significant turnover and lose the competences that they have, and because they didn't record the knowledge of these employees, they end up losing that knowledge for the future. There is also the problem of tacit and informal knowledge. So not all knowledge is easy to capture and or goes through the tools that we use day to day. So a lot of the knowledge of people might be informal, tacit, and tools such as email or chat, which are quite efficient to make people communicate, unfortunately have the drawback of dispersing the knowledge and increasing the effect of silos. I mean, we can reach out to people using email and chat tools. We can send them knowledge very quickly. The problem is that this ends up being very disorganized knowledge and very hard to find knowledge. So the impact is significant. One of the challenges of the knowledge management space is that it's very hard to measure the impact. So some studies, and there are multiple ones. One of them is from McKinsey, but we can find more studies about this, and they evaluate the waste of time at 20% of people just looking for information. And probably the larger the company, the more you're searching for information, or the less you know who you need to reach out to find the information. So the big challenge is that it's very hard to measure, but we all know it happens. It's hard to put an exact money amount on top of it, and it's hard to know where we stand as companies. But another aspect of you have one aspect that is productivity, but there is also employee happiness. If people search for information all the time and they cannot find the information when they need to get to work, it builds frustration on employees, and this ends up making employees just decide to quit. If they're not happy in their work, the best employee will quit because they will look for something else, because they will look for a place where they won't have these frustrations. And so knowledge loss is a sort of a time bomb that is ticking for companies that don't work on it. And there is this tendency of management to kind of push back the problem until basically it's too late. Now, how can wikis actually help on that? What is really interesting with wikis and the way wikis work is creating a balance between the immediate and long-term efficiency. So companies are very often focused on the short term. How can I be efficient right away? So for example, if you take a tool like Google Docs, will be very efficient on the short term. The team needs to work on a document. We need to produce a document. Let's go and make it in Google Docs. We're going to be extremely fast to create that document. The problem is that over the long term, this document is not saved into a larger knowledge base and organized with the rest of the knowledge base. And wikis are trying to bridge that gap, giving you the tools that are still efficient and as tools like Google Docs, and at the same time, help you organize the content over the long term. You have studies that show that wikis reduce email overload. So in companies where the wiki is installed and there is a wiki culture, you will have a reduction of usage of email to transmit information. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you won't use email or chat to transmit information, but instead of transmitting the information in the email, you will transmit a link in the email. So you will reach out to the user by email or by chat with information that is organized in your wiki. Wikis also change the way people are. It creates a collaborative culture where people think about working in groups instead of working alone. You can achieve, so there is this sentence that says, alone you go fast, together you go further. Or I'm not sure if that's the right English way, but basically, if we work together, we can go much further than if we work alone. And this is actually the type of culture that usage of wikis create inside companies. It also increases the employee engagement. Everybody can participate. You position places where people can participate. And for managers, it's actually quite interesting because you can actually see which employees are engaging, and then you can detect the employees that actually have high potential, and you can actually decide to give them more responsibilities. And so having this free space gives a place where you can have more participation. Now, structured wikis also go further. I think I need to speed up. So you know the concepts of structured wikis. We add metadata to the data, and it globally improves the quality and usability of the ROI. And going even further, we add customizability, which allows company to adapt the software more to the people and increases the collaboration of the people. Thanks to XWiki's customizability, you can break some barriers that make it more difficult to collaborate. Now, switching to building a successful business, I wanted to give some news on how XWiki as a company is doing from a financial point of view. As I mentioned, open source is helping us tremendously being successful in the business. One of the aspects that is really important for the company to progress is getting recurrent revenue. We get a lot of service with our customers adapting the software, the open source software to their needs. However, if we want to be able to invest in R&D, We need recurrent revenue in order to achieve sustainability. I think with 20 years we've already been quite successful at it, but this in the software industry we need to always improve ourselves as things are moving fast. The XWiki software popularity, so we have currently we measure at 7,500 installs. It's not a huge growth in the last few years. However, we get an important growth on the number of users. So we're not measuring all our users because we have companies that run XWiki behind firewalls, so we don't get the information of the actual install. But in the last year, with the measures we have on version 14.5, we've doubled the number of actual user accounts that are created in the wiki. This is an information that is shared since version 14, and we reach more than 500K users. So given that not all instances are measured there, we might be in pretty close to 1 million of individual accounts on XWiki. We see more larger companies are using XWiki, and this is also due to a high demand from conference migrations. I was mentioning keeping software companies honest, and we see a lot of customers being very disappointed by the policies that Atlassian has set up, deciding to stop software that was perfectly making money and pushing people either to the cloud or to higher end offers if they wanted to keep their software on premise. At XWiki, we believe that companies should have the choice to run the software on the cloud or on premise, and this is a trust that we won't break for our customers, and we see a huge amount of companies coming to us. This has driven a lot the growth of XWiki in the last 2 to 3 years. Currently, we have 160 large enterprise clients, but we also have much smaller clients running XWiki on our cloud, and we also have also many small companies or even larger companies that are just running our paying extensions. Our paying extensions also help us increase recurrent revenue, but they also bring a lot of value to our large customers, which are using these paying extensions. Overall, XWiki has 500 clients. In the revenue evolution, we can see the impact of larger clients and also conference clients. This data also includes ScriptPad. So this is the total revenue of XWiki. It includes client revenue, but it also includes research project revenue. And the growth in the last 2 years that we see that is significant. We're basically almost doubling the size in the last 3 years. Is not only due to more clients, it's not only due to conference migrations, it's also due to research project that we have won and collaboration in Germany with the Open Desk project, which has increased sponsorship of the XWiki software. So it's a combination of the three that actually creates the growth there. What's really interesting is to look at the revenue per type. 70% of XWiki's revenue is recurrent revenue. We'll share the slides as reading might not be so easy. So this is the global revenue of XWiki, including the subsidies that we get through research project and service contracts. So the top left is service contracts. We have then, but we also have service contracts that are sponsoring R&D. We have a lot of customers that sponsor features in XWiki, and we thank them for that. It creates a lot of value to the community. If every company is chipping in a little bit of sponsorship, in the end the software gets really much better and everybody benefits from it. And we have also SaaS offers that contribute to XWiki's revenue. A word on our team. If you stay for the party tonight, you might meet most of the members of the team. Well, the Romanian team is going to join us for the party. We have 35 people in Romania, 25 in France, but we also have other employees in Germany, Luxembourg, Ireland, Brazil, Poland, and Spain. So we have really tried to be a very international company. When I built XWiki, it was important for me to build it international first, and to really foster a culture to build software internationally, not only in France. The majority of our revenue is foreign now. It's not in France. XWiki has grown a lot in Germany in the last few years, but we also have revenue from the US, from the UK, and even from Japan. We hired 15 people in just the last year, thanks to all the projects that we have to run, whether it's R&D. We'll have a presentation about the R&D projects, which are preparing XWiki for the future, and we'll also have increased a lot the product itself. And I'm finishing with what's next. So as I mentioned, and the key point is, in addition to continue to serve our clients, so we're also increasing our capacity to do better service towards our clients, whether they're coming for conference or whether they're traditional, let's say traditional XWiki clients. But we're continuing to increase the investment in R&D, both, let's say, the short-term R&D, making the product better, and also preparing the future. That means building things that are more for the long term. I'm talking particularly on Crystal, but I'm also talking on Waze, which is our project that we started on AI to bring AI capacity in XWiki. And so we're in parallel working on making the short-term product better and also making sure the long-term product is getting better. There is a presentation in the morning about this. The goal of the summit is also to get feedback. So we're welcoming any feedback that you might have. Today, during the workshops, we tried to set up the workshops in a way that they're both giving information to you and also trying to get information from you, getting to know what we can do better and what we should invest on for the future of XWiki. So one of the workshops is about what you'd like to see in XWiki, and another workshop is about showing you around the vast list of extensions that we have that you might not know about and that could be useful to your business. But we also welcome that feedback all year long. As I mentioned, open source is a great way to build software. We have the community forums. For example, on Crystal, we're publishing all design proposals that we have for the next generation of our UI. And anybody is welcome to come and comment and tell us what they think about them. It's about a collaboration with our customers about it. And that's it for the presentation about the XWiki company. And if you have any questions, you can ask them anytime. I hope you'll enjoy a great summit and meet also between clients and have a good exchange, and you'll have a great day with us. Thank you very much.